Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are to do another AFL 2022 ranking every AFL team's premiership chances. Now of course, as you know, we are down to 8. Brisbane, Collingwood, Fremantle, Geelong, Melbourne, Richmond, Sydney and the Western Bulldogs. Those are the 8 teams standing that have made it through the finals. And of course, we are back for another edition of the ranking AFL Premiership chances. We've done it a couple of times throughout the year. And of course, it's going to be a tradition every year on the channel, which we're going to be doing multiple times. And here we are back for another. And this is the final time this year as well that we will be doing a AFL 2022 ranking every AFL team's premiership chances before we'll be doing it again next year, which is really exciting because I love doing these kind of videos. But anyway, I'm not going to go ahead, waste too much time. I'm going to go ahead, hop right into things. Now, of course, Adelaide, Carlton, Essendon, Gold Coast, GWS, Hawthorn, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide, St Kilda and West Coast will all not be involved in this video as they have no chance of winning the premiership because they didn't even make finals. Brisbane, Collingwood, Fremantle, Geelong, Melbourne, Richmond, Sydney and the Western Bulldogs are the only teams left with chances to win the flag. And what I've got is tiny/outside chance/maybe, good chance and the premiership favourite. So only one team is going to be going in the premiership favourite, which is a team that I think is the premiership favourite right now. Which we're going to go ahead, and we're just going to go ahead and start as we have it in alphabetical order on this list. Brisbane, I think they're a tiny outside chance actually, and that's going to come as a bit of a surprise. But this year there's been many performances where Brisbane have actually been quite poor in the end. We remember back to, I think it was round 2021, where they choked a 42-point lead at the MCG to lose to Richmond. They lost to Essendon and had a demolition against Melbourne. They got destroyed by Melbourne at the Gabba, and they're going to be up against a very strong Richmond side at the Gabba in the first elimination final. They're not favourites in that game. That is where they'll go home, I reckon. I reckon that's where Brisbane will end up going home, and they will no longer be in the season because they'll be knocked out. So I think that they're a tiny outside chance, considering it'll be tough for Brisbane. They haven't had the greatest of years. They're up against such a quality opponent come week 1 of the finals. It's going to be tough for them. Now to Collingwood, which my thing just decided to play up. Now to Collingwood, which I think they're a chance. Of course, good old Collingwood, they managed to keep on going. They managed to find a way to win. But in the finals, the opponents, again, as they are going to be a lot tougher. And Collingwood have had some very close encounters with some very poor sides, to say the least. Essendon, Port Adelaide, GWS, Adelaide, Hawthorn, North Melbourne. They're just some of them that they've had close encounters with. So obviously they've been a good side, have Collingwood, but they just haven't been able to smash some teams away that we probably thought they probably should have. And then, of course, they did make a choke against Geelong and a poor loss to West Coast. But those were back early on in the season. I think from them we've seen a different Collingwood outfit. But I think, again, the finals is a whole new ball game. It's who's up to the challenge. I already feel like Brisbane are going to be going out. They may have had a great season, Brisbane, but finals is all different. Finals is a whole different thing, whole different mind feel as well. It's a whole different everything. And the opponents get tougher because only the best 8 in the competition, or the top 8, only get through, and those are the best 8 teams in the competition. And I think you just can't be relying on the close games to do you in finals because it just won't work. So I think Collingwood are just a chance, not a good chance, but just a chance. Now to Fremantle, which I think they're a good chance to win the flag. They have had a couple of poor games this year, but I still think they are still in a very good chance to win the flag. They've got a great list, and it's a bit of a younger one of that. Oh, no, I'm going to move them down to a chance, actually. I'm going to move them down to a chance just because I remember the key thing, the lack of finals experience for Fremantle could really do them in. So, yeah, because they're a young list, which is a great thing, which is kind of similar to Collingwood in a way. They're a great list, but can the lack of experience hurt them? Potentially it actually could, and that is why I've put them down in a chance. But man, this year they've passed expectations of multiple people. They almost finished in the top 4, just missed out. But man, they were good. Optus Stadium is going to be a brilliant home ground for them. But they've got to make it through the whole weeks. Like, they've got to do elimination final, semi-final, prelim final, and grand final. So it is going to be a longer road home for the Dockers if they want to win. But they can most certainly do it. And have the Dogs in the first week, which isn't too bad. But yeah, again, as I do say, that it does get tougher and a lack of experience could really hurt them. Now on to Geelong, who are the Premiership favourites this year for me anyway. It'd be between Geelong and Melbourne as to who are the Premiership favourites. But no, I have Geelong being the Premiership favourites. I think this year, by a fair bit actually, they've been the best side in the competition. They've been really tough to beat. Melbourne, when you think of them, their defence has been broken down a couple of times this year, and if they are missing any key members, then that means it's almost a 50-50 chance of a win or a loss already, which is not great. So, yeah, that's why Geelong are my Premiership favourites. I think this year is potentially one of their last years that they can attack the flag. We keep saying that every year, and every year they just keep on doing it again. But I think this year is their year. You know, it's any time. It's pretty much now or never for the Cats. As we do know, ageing group, ageing list, they have to make the most of their chance now. Their list is in the best shape it's been in for a long time. And they've managed to pick up one of the recruits of the season, Tyson Stengel. Got him for nothing. And look at him, he's been fantastic. Brilliant whole team. But again, they are ageing, which is a bit of a problem. And they only have 1 or 2 more years out of these players that are still playing right now. But I think they are the Premiership favourites, and I do think that if Geelong can get through to prelim, they'll go all the way in season 2022, and that's why they are my Premiership favourites. So now to Melbourne, who are a good chance. Of course, they won the Premiership last year, and they are right back in red-hot contention to do it again this year. Look, Melbourne, they've had a couple of poor games this year where the defence has been broken down, or they've had some key players missing, which has definitely hurt them in the end. But look, they've put up some very solid performances in the past couple of weeks. They played really well against Brisbane, which was the massive one at the Gabba. They smashed them. And that was a performance that they really needed just to go, right, we're here. We are here. We are really here to give this a red-hot crack. And they beat off another top 4 contender, and they absolutely beat them up, did Melbourne. So I reckon if they can take that form into finals, they'll be really good. They'll be tough to beat. And I really do think it's the Cats or the D's game this year. I do think those two sides will end up meeting in the grand final. I think it'll be an absolute cracker of that. But yeah, I think these two teams have really established themselves quite a fair way away from the rest of the competition. Even though it wasn't like that on the ladder was so tight. But I still just feel like the classiness of the Cats and the Demons compared to some of the other teams playing finals is a fair way different, with the Cats and the Demons being more on top. But I think the Cats or the Demons will win the flag this year. Now on to Richmond, who are a chance or a maybe. Now, Richmond, their strength is really good, and they can attack the flag this year really heavily. Now, again, they've got to work through elimination final, semi-final, prelim final, and the grand final, of course. They've got to do it a long way as well. But look, just like the Western Bulldogs last year, the 2016 Western Bulldogs, it is 100% doable. They can make it all the way to the grand final, and you definitely can win it. Now, with Richmond, they got such a strong list. They're such a strong side. And they've showed that in the last few weeks. 128 versus Hawthorn, 141 versus Essendon, and then 109 versus Port Adelaide. They can score heavily. Which those scores, 109, 128, and 141, will definitely most likely win you a final if you're getting scores that high. Now, obviously, the opponents in the last couple of weeks, Port Adelaide, Hawthorn, and Essendon, they're not the greatest of opponents. We do know that. And they can be pretty easy to score against. Especially Hawthorn and Essendon. But look, getting some good scores like that is really good. And Richmond, they're a strengthy side, so they can easily go all the way. A pretty similar list to 2017, 2019, and 2020. They can easily attack the flag again this year. And that's why they're not just a tiny or an outside chance. They are a pretty good chance. And when they play finals, they're going in favourites against Brisbane. And, who knows where they could go from there if they beat Brisbane and do it somewhat convincingly. Wow, what a final series we could have right in front of us. Now to Sydney, I think they're also a chance or a maybe. Look, Sydney, they've been a great side this year. They've been able to do it really, really well. And I think they're definitely a flag. You know what? I'm going to move them up to a good chance. I think Sydney are a flag threat. They are a flag threat this year. they've got a brilliant list right now. Some older names like Franklin, but then some younger upcoming names like Warner, Papley. And these players have already fired as well this year. They've got a really balanced list to Sydney. And I think if they don't have any injuries, they will be good to go for finals and will be another one in this conversation of the Geelong-Melbourne. They'll make it a third party. There'll be an interesting conversation to have as well in the final series with Sydney, because they can easily win this as well, can Sydney. Got a brilliant list. They've shown in the back half of the year they can do a lot of damage, can Sydney. They can do a lot of damage. And if they get a home prelim final or even a semi-final at the SCG, watch out. If they get a home prelim at the SCG, they are going through to the grand final. They're going to be tough to beat at the SCG. So, regardless whether they lose a prelim, regardless whether they lose that qualifying final or win it, they'll get a final at the SCG anyway, which will be dangerous. But, oh man, Sydney, they are going to be a tough side to beat in the final series. They're going to be a very tough side. And again, they're in flag contention. And now the Western Bulldogs, the side that just snuck up into 8th spot, they can pull off a 2016 Dogs side, and they can go from elimination final right through to grand final, and they can win it. But it is a tiny or an outside chance, just like Brisbane in my opinion. Look, the Dogs this year, they've been far from great. They really haven't. I think they were very lucky to get in. I think they were very, very, very lucky to get in the finals. I think it would take an absolute miracle for them to win this. Got to start off by beating the Dockers at Optus, which is going to be a tough task. Then if you do that, well, then you'll be playing one of the Cats or the Pies, which will be even tougher. And then you'll be going on to like the Demons or Sydney or Geelong or Collingwood, some of the flag favourites. So it's going to be tough for the Dogs. That's all I'm going to say. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that's very unrealistic. Sorry, Dog supporters, but nah. You just haven't played that great this year, and I think that you're very lucky just to scrape into finals. They can make a miracle happen. They do have a great list. But yeah, they just haven't fired as much as what they would hope this year. But look, it is anybody's game. Look, I've only ranked them based on what I've seen these teams this year, and I think, Geelong my Premiership favourites. I think Melbourne Sydney is still a good chance. I think that's the top 3 for me, and that is the top 3 on the ladder as well. And then a chance, and maybe I've got Fremantle, Collingwood and Richmond. I think these sides are strengthened, but again, it would be tougher for them to win. And then I think pretty much almost, just about no chance would be the Dogs and the Lions. But that's how I just see these teams, the last 8 teams that will be fighting out in September. And yes, my flag prediction is Geelong. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.